The Battle of Olisipo was a massive success. It was also an incredibly bloody affair, with us losing over 2/3 of our marine corps. Overall, this meant we could now loot the city and take it for our own. The Iberian Wars had begun. A minor handful of warriors from this barbarian tribe we fought escaped further inland, meaning our new colony here outside the Mediterranean was still at risk of being attacked. So Glaucus, the commander in charge of the assault, handed over his remaining units to Cleisthenes for himself personally to take charge of the Athenian ground expansion. Our fleet could only help us to a certain extent. We also needed to give a name to our new colony here. A delegation was sent back to Athens for them to decide what it should be called. However, it will take quite a while for this to be decided, but hopefully it is fitting for our new Hellenic colony. But let's take a look at the diplomatic situation of this new peninsula before we make any decisions on what to do next. This land of hills and forestry was called home by the Iberian tribes known for their guerrilla warfare, formidable warriors and slingers. Clearly, they killed over 2,000 of our marines after all. To the north of us we have the Galati, who apparently are at war with their two eastern neighbors, who supposedly like us due to us occupying Olisipo. South of that we have another conflict where the last tribe bordering us is in a conflict with the Capitani, who were hated by pretty much everyone, even the Carthaginians. All these other tribes didn't really care that we were here, due to so many of our own noblemen being skilled in statecraft. How fortunate. But this status quo wouldn't last forever, as all the crucial resources that made this new landmass so valuable were inland, occupied by these other tribes. Conflict was inevitable. There was also this extremely valuable resource down in Western Africa, but we will get to that later. We quickly established a minor force made out of all the available mercenaries in the province, funded by the looting of Olisipo. Furthermore, this Iberian village was to be completely converted with proper Greek infrastructure and also proper defenses. This new settlement will basically become the backbone of this Athenian colony. Another interesting development was the fact that Rome asked us for trade. This was a massive deal, as it potentially meant the Romans wouldn't intervene in our colonization of the West. Let's just hope they don't get involved in Greek affairs, forcing us to fight them. No matter, as the barbarian attacked us once again. But this was definitely not the last time we crossed swords with the Iberian tribes. Nevertheless, we continued our demoralization of Olisipo and began hiring agents to spread our Hellenic faith to other villages and tribes. Like, we even embezzled more gold to recruit new agents. A rebellion also appeared but was crushed by the Celtic tribe to the east of this fine river that marked the border of our individual domains. A fine act of friendship that would have been appreciated if not for the fact that they controlled the best resource of all on this peninsula. So as Glaucus took command, we developed our ground forces made out of local units and constructed a new muster field along with new sacred grounds, an Iberian embassy and a military wharf. Back in Greece, we used this new source of wealth to build a shrine to Poseidon in order to gain favor with the god of the sea. But by the autumn of 269, the Celtic, who we had been eyeing up for quite a while now due to their control of this iron mine, they finally moved out towards one of their many enemies, leaving their precious resources vulnerable, meaning Glaucus could finally begin his expansion. Although we only had a smaller core of Hellenic units in our army, this was far from a weakness. You see, the Iberian units we fielded in our army were specialized in guerrilla warfare, meaning we rapidly had forces inside the town, forcing the garrison to sally out towards Glaucus and his Greek militia. A grave mistake, as our Iberian forces just came tumbling down the same road to charge into their rear. Of course, we immediately looted the settlement, enslaving as many as we could, to then afterwards demolish everything completely. As this gave us control of the entire province, we enacted the Noble Philanthropy Edict, hired a hero for our army, and also recruited more armored units. This huge influx of wealth additionally paid for the new slave trader and improved fisheries we made in Greece. Realizing how rich we could become from this colony alone, we returned to a normal taxation policy, and then also began working on a slave trader here in the new colonies, alongside this shield maker to improve our equipment. If we can fully upgrade our equipment, we might be able to challenge for hegemony over all of Greece, not just the Aegean. But to our surprise, this wasn't the last time we faced the Celtic Eye, as their armies apparently had taken a settlement further inland. We were ready to smite down every last one of them until our statecraft advantages revealed we could just client-state the tribe. Perfect. That way we didn't have to march too far away from the sea, which was our true power. Although our navy isn't all that powerful at the moment. But as our new wharves improved, we began reinforcing our fleet again. However, doing this at Olisipo means we can't use proper units in our ground army. We have to rely on the locals for land warfare then. But as the port of Rhodes reached the 3rd tier, we were now able to mass produce these Heptares warships and also put ballistae on our trirees too. Now this was interesting, but it would take years before they were ready and even reached the colony, and the locals still aren't all that fond of us. They continuously instigated slave revolts, causing great fires in our settlements, and encouraged other tribes to kick us out of Iberia. At least one of them seemed to enjoy our company, even though they are allied with a much larger tribe that just destroyed our client state. I would have marched out to punish them right away, but this other barbarian tribe to the southeast attacked Glaucus at the iron mines. Believing we could brush one army before the other could reinforce, we sallied out with our Greek militia, with our Iberian units being tasked to flank around. Sadly, they got discovered, forcing them to toss their javelins at the barbarian cavalry. Additionally, the hostile reinforcements approached us at a much higher speed than anticipated, leading to Glaucus ordering all of his cavalry to delay their advance. This sally-out maneuver was at the cost of heavy casualties on our Greek units. Nevertheless, our own Iberian units slowly carved their way through the barbarian right flank, allowing us to slowly break their first army. So as our units from the first engagement were able to leave, they rushed over towards the other army that had begun assaulting our own flank. However, after seeing one army completely destroyed, their other commander called for a retreat. Heroically, Glaucus managed to defend our iron mines, with enough men remaining for him to order a counterattack. Finishing off the leftovers was rather easy, with us replenishing our army with mercenaries to then besiege the walled city of Kartuba. And after we refused their peace, they sallied out. Here we used the flexibility of our Iberian forces to isolate and overwhelm the hostiles, allowing Glaucus and the other mounted cavalry to swoop in from the back. A pure slaughter, which resulted in a second heroic victory in a row for Glaucus and his forces of locals. As a result, Kartuba was looted and broken down into tiny pieces. Apart from their sacred grounds, which we began converting into a temple of Artemis. This also meant we officially bordered the Carthaginians, who at this very moment is in full control over Sicily. Luckily, they are too focused on fighting Rome, or else their armies would march against our growing colony. That reminds me that we weren't satisfied with just one colony in Iberia. No, we wanted more. We have heard tales of a large island to the north, as well as a rare amber resource even further away than that. But first we will focus on Western Africa, with their equally rare purple dye resource. So as our new and enhanced ships from Rhodes arrived at the Pillars of Heracles during the summer of 264 BC, Cleisthenes, our naval mastermind, linked up with the reinforcements to then sail down the coast and strike with everything he had. I had no clue of what culture they were from, what deities they worshipped, or overall how powerful they were. This resource just had to be mine. There were 2 beaches inside the village, divided by this unscalable cliffside, forcing us to divide our forces. On the right, we were quite clever, using our ranged advantage to clear the shores of cavalry to even the odds. On the other hand, the left assault was a pure bloodbath, with our marines experiencing tough resistance from the locals. But it was our new ballistic ships that stole the show of this battle here. Not only did they land magnificent shots in the middle of their hostile lines, but also caused so much chaos many of the natives fled from the battle. But so was also the case for our own marines, who basically all got killed as a result of this. But with all our marines gone, we just sailed our ballistic ships all the way up to the shores, allowing them to shoot from point blank range. Once enough damage had been dealt, Cleisthenes personally landed to finish the task. Although we lost most of the first wave of marines, we prevailed to loot and occupy the port, resulting in us for the first time increasing in imperium level. Our colonial empire is growing and fast. Another result of reaching a new imperium level was we could now appoint new governors outside the Greek realm. This will in turn help evolve this colony into a fully Hellenized province. Glaucus returned to the iron mines, where he recruited these Scutari spearmen acquired from the Iberian embassy. These units will over time prove to be vital in our success here in Iberia. Apart from getting this extremely valuable resource, this new colony in Africa also meant we got another border with the Carthaginians. Something they definitely didn't appreciate. They are starting to see us as a rival, and likewise we do them. We are gonna monitor their conflict with Rome closely from now on, while we personally focus on getting revenge on the Aravaci for destroying our client state. Tension between us and the Carthaginians grew as a result of one of their politicians seeking refuge inside our new colony. If we accepted this, conflict was sure to erupt, and we couldn't allow that. So we surrendered him to Carthage. We also received the Thorius reform around this time, which was sure to improve our military inevitably. But it didn't have an effect on our forces just yet, as we currently are operating with foreign soldiers in our warfront. This reform must have been triggered by the fact that the Romans took Apollonia, officially entering the Greek realm. For fuck's sake, they know we rely on them to deal with Carthage. We can't afford to retaliate just yet. Let's just hope the Macedonians, who have expanded into Thrace, won't do anything foolish.